Meghan Abrams is one of the leaders of the D.C. chapter of Moms Demand Action. She's here in studio with us. Hi, Meghan. Good to see you.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So your group actually got started right out of Newtown, correct?
That's right. Our founder went online, and she was looking for an organization that was something along the lines of Mothers Against Drunk Driving, but for the prevention of gun violence in America. And when she couldn't find anything of that order, she started her own Facebook page. And
what's her name?
Her name is Shannon Watts.
Where's she from?
She is a mother of 5 from Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
So she, of course, immediately had many, many people all across America like this Facebook page. And from that impetus, our organization became a grassroots movement across the country.
And how many states now that you're active in?
We've got chapters in all 50 states and in the District of Columbia as well.
Right. How many kids do you have?
I'm a mother of 3 young children.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So what is the goal of the organization? What are you trying to get? And are you kind of frustrated? You haven't been able to make more progress this past year?
We're frustrated, but we have seen progress. There have been positive changes. There are stronger gun regulations that have passed in places like Colorado and Connecticut, Maryland, and New York. And our moms have actually been instrumental also in blocking harmful legislation from passing in Missouri. So, yes, we're frustrated that things like the universal background checks bill did not pass, in spite of its having 90% approval by the American people. But we're not giving up. We're in town hall meetings. We're in PTA meetings. Our moms are at state capitals. We're holding events in all corners of the country, and we're educating people about this issue. We're motivating them to act on it, and we are not giving up.
Are you keeping the pressure on Congress as well?
We are, yep. In fact,
I mean, here you had a Republican, Pat Toomey from Pennsylvania, and Democrat Joe Manchin from West Virginia, both of whom are big NRA supporters, big pro-gun people, right, who came up with this compromise on universal background checks, and they couldn't even get that through the Senate.
Right. We have had the promise from Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid that that bill will be put before the Senate again sometime before midterm elections, and a group of our moms are actually going to Senator Reid's office this morning to meet with him. So the pressure is on. Yeah,
and the presence is there. There's been a lot of talk about this anniversary and for various levels and how to market, right? What is the best way, do you believe, for Americans to recognize? You don't want to forget about it, but you don't want to exploit it either, right?
Right.
It's very sensitive.
It's absolutely sensitive.
What is your organization doing?
Our organization, I'm glad that you asked, we're marking this anniversary in 40 states around the country. We've got more than 50 events planned for Saturday, and we are marking it with the moment of no more silence. And that is because typically following these tragedies, Americans gather and they observe a moment of silence and reflect on the victims and their families, and then they move on.
Yeah.
And moms aren't moving on from this issue anymore. We're breaking the silence around it. And our events are intended to do exactly that. People will gather in their communities and will ring bells together for various periods of time. Here in Washington, D.C., we'll be ringing bells communally for 33 seconds. And that is to honor the 33 daily victims of gun violence in America, and also to be symbolic of our action that we continue to take and the noise that we will keep making on this issue until it becomes obsolete.
And if people want to join in some of these events in these other states, I'm just looking here, your website is momsdemandaction.org, right?
That's right. And you can look on the tab for No More Silence events, and everyone listed near where you are will be on that website.
Momsdemandaction.org. Look for to talk about the No Silence events, and they're all this Saturday, December 14th,
That's
correct?
right.
Right. In terms of the media attention, the moms of Newtown, Connecticut, have really asked the media to stay away. Do you think they will?
I know that the families affected by the tragedy at Sandy Hook Elementary School have asked that their loved ones' names be withheld from events, and we want to honor those people. And clearly, the event in Newtown, Connecticut, gave rise to this movement. But our events are planned around honoring all victims of gun violence. Clearly, the Sandy Hook victims will be top of mind as we stand together on that day,
Right.
their first anniversary after that shooting. But this is really intended to honor the memory of everyone who has been lost, because whether you lost a first grader or a mother or a father or a grandfather or a sibling or a friend, the loss is no less great. And so we need to take action and stop this from happening in every community where it has.
Yeah, I was referencing the community of the actual physical community of Newtown, Connecticut, and I read this morning. I was in the New York Times or the Washington Post that most of the nation's main newspapers and TV networks have agreed they're not going to send crews to Newtown, Connecticut. That's what the parents up there were afraid of, that everybody would descend on Newtown again with all the trucks, with all the reporters, and they'd be banging on doors, and they'd be badgering these families to tell your story again, and to share your grief again, and to talk again, and they just don't want that. And I hope people will leave them in peace, and instead of that, do something positive like you're doing, which is to get the message out. What about at the state level? I mean, we know that Congress is reluctant to act. Are you seeing any action? You mentioned a couple of states, I guess, that have moved. But, I mean, sometimes the state legislators are even more in love with the NRA than the Congress, if possible.
It's interesting you bring that up, because we are seeing more traction at the state level. We have seen this issue become part of the dialogue during campaigns. I mean, in the gubernatorial race in Virginia, we supported the governor-elect, and that was partly because he takes a responsible view of gun policy in his state.
Yeah.
And this has really become a kitchen table issue, sadly that it has, but it is, and politicians take note. I mean, we've got Senator Cory Booker, Senator Ed Markey. All of these people address the issue. They're aware that people care about it. And so, yes, states and representatives from those states are having to come against this idea that the gun industry has for too long, led the way and chosen the path, and it's become one that's devastated American communities.